Howdy.
Hello, welcome.
Welcome back to Of Head and Heart,
The podcast.
the podcast where we're going to be sipping the tea and spilling the tea.
Yes, ma'am.
All about embodiment, mental wellness from our lived experience, obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I am Julie, in case you didn't know me.
Beth.
Super excited to be back. We have quite a few things that we want to touch on today.
Yeah.
I did want to say, just in case for anybody who did not know this, but we don't really prepare in great detail what we're going to do. I think it's important. I just want people to, because we're human and we want to show up in this way, that we may have some talking points or some references from a previous episode, or I might share, or she might share, oh, somebody brought this up in reference to what we were talking about, but we don't flesh out what we're going to talk about.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so we like to just kind of let it be kind of what's alive in that moment for us. So anyhow, I just thought that it felt important to share. And before we get started, like always, I want to do a little grounding practice.
Yes.
I have a little bit of like busy energy just from life, and this morning has already been kind of rushy, so it would be helpful for me to drop in that way.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I thought what I would offer for us this afternoon is balanced breathing. If you're in class with me, we do it quite a bit. I love it because a lot of times we cue the big exhale, somatic exhale for release, which is super important. I love it.
Yes.
I'm here for it all day long. It's a good signal for our parasympathetic nervous system to come on board. And we're getting ready to be in conversation about some things that feel very important to us. And so I want to be connected to both this sympathetic energy and parasympathetic, right? So I want to balance that out, bring some balance to that. So anyway, I thought that might be a good way to drop in.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so let's find a comfortable seat. Anything that feels good in your body in this moment in time. Let whatever's touching the mat or the chair or the floor find balance. So notice left side body, right side body. And when you feel stable against the floor of the mat, the cushion, the chair, I want you to think about where your heart is in space and begin to gently lift the heart. Just creating some space and then softening through your shoulders and your face. And so eyes closed, eyes open, whatever supports you best. And we'll just take a couple rounds, just breathing in, smooth and steady, breathing out, smooth and steady. Maybe inviting in the open jaw exhale to start, just in a way to kind of come fully into your breath and into your body. And when it feels good to start, we'll inhale, matching the length of our inhale. We'll take a little pause at the top and we'll exhale the same count. So it could be 4 for you, it could be 5 for you, it could be 6 for you. And we'll take about 3 or 4 rounds. So when you're ready to start, we'll just inhale, pause, exhale, pause, inhale, notice the count, pause, exhale, same count, pause, inhale, pause, exhale. So maybe 2 more. Inhaling, pausing, matching the length of your exhale to your inhale, pausing, last round. And then when you're ready, breathing all the way in, taking a pause when you get to the top. And then just releasing it out. Without rushing to the next thing. Maybe set a little intention for this time. for the next pocket of time where you're going to be engaged in this podcast, whether you're talking, listening. And when you feel ready, just blinking those eyes open, maybe taking a little movement, a little shift or a little shimmy.
Welcome. Yeah, that was lovely, Julie.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I want to start like we always do. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I think I want you to go first on this one. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll go first. So, peeve and pleasure. My peeve, I'm not going to lie, I have a lot, but I'm going to pick one. Okay? I have a lot of pleasures, so I want to say that too. I have a shit ton of pleasures. But I do have some peeves that are just like, needling, asking for my attention, right? But I landed on this one, and I even, before I started, I was like, I'm gonna get a little research on it because I want to make sure that the language that came through for me is accurate.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so what I landed on as my peeve is virtue signaling.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna share kind of
electric fingers,
okay.
Julie.
I'm gonna share like the what brought me to that.
Okay.
It was on my walk this morning that the language of virtue signaling came through, so that I had to look it up to make sure. And I don't know that it touches exactly, but it definitely connects.
Okay, cool.
So my peeve is when we put all things in one basket. Okay, and it's like we have everything. We are a good person, a great, decent person. We do it because of this one thing, and anything else that falls outside of that doesn't really matter because we have this one thing that makes makes us feel like a decent human being.
Okay.
It's like we drop some accountability for other things because we have this one thing.
So when I worked in the jail system, we would teach criminal and addictive thinking, and we're going to talk a little bit about CVT and core beliefs today.
Yes.
But one of those like criminal and addictive thinking patterns was actually good person stance. And I think that really also lands in what you're kind of saying of like, I'm this really good person because I'm doing this thing, so don't pay attention to anything else.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So that is like, I feel like this is happening on a global level, and I see it on a global level, but I like the trickle down, and I'll kind of give a lived experience because I think that feels like this has come up recently, and it's like some shamey language around cussing, for instance. Okay, I'm not condoning cussing. I think we talked about it in class on Tuesday. Like, I use cussing. I'm guilty. Okay.
Same. Yeah.
I'm guilty.
I have a mouth.
Let me tell you though, when I use it, what visualizes in my mind is Batman, like pow, bam, boom, right? Like this is how I use
passion.
Like, one of my students in class was like, "That's an automatopoeia," and I was like, "Okay, automatopoeia," but it's like I'm not using it to dehumanize someone, right? Like it's right, like it's and what I also recognized this morning was like it's a pattern breaker. Right, it's like it's interrupting. It's interrupting.
It's
something.
A rupture.
Whether it is
positive or
negative, like it's breaking up. Like if I stub my toe, shit, you know, like it's like breaking that kind of. Anyway, so this is what I'm talking. So a little shamey language around people who are cussing. Jesus wouldn't like that, you know, but we're not looking at the things that are happening that we're doing that maybe Jesus also wouldn't like.
Yeah.
That you're going to call somebody out for
this
language, for this one thing that is maybe not
reflective of the whole person.
Yeah, right. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so I had to look up when I was walking and it said virtue signaling. I wanted to look it up because I wasn't sure if that was the right language. But it says empty act done publicly with the intent of enhancing one's own image.
Ooh, yeah.
Right. So I think that does feel a little bit loud. Like I'm in the high road here, and I, you know, you shouldn't cuss. Jesus wouldn't want you to cuss.
It's kind of like, it has some like self-righteousness kind of vibes to
some
it.
self-righteousness. The other definition said is the act of expressing opinions or stances that align with popular moral values, often through social media, with the intent of demonstrating one's good character. The term virtue signaling is frequently used pejoratively to suggest that the person is more concerned with appearing virtuous than actually supporting the cause or belief in question.
Yeah.
So it has some tendrils of what I'm trying to explain.
It's a lack of authenticity and almost like a shallow representation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, it's like we can, somebody doing one thing and one thing only, leaning into one thing and one thing only as our means of being good or decent,
or
aligned, but when really there's so much action that has to happen. It's not one thing. Just because I believe a certain way doesn't mean that I am always decent and kind.
This good
or
person.
like there has to be ripples of actions that match.
Actions and intentions have to align.
And that's what we're talking about, like embodied. So if it is, I'm just going to come back to like the cussing one, because it's like seems tangible, but it's like if cussing is a direct line to being not cussing is not being a direct line to being a decent or kind or in align with Jesus or how he would want you to be. Okay.
Yeah.
But what are the other ways? How are you meeting that every day in the actions and the words that you're showing? How are you embodying that? And not just dropping it on other people.
Absolutely.
Okay. So do you see it? Like, I don't know that I'm verbalizing it well, but it's okay. All right. So that's my peeve.
Good peeve.
That's my peeve. My pleasure is I got to have dinner this week with a dear friend. I'm going to shout her out, Hadley Louse. I adore her. We used to get together quite a bit, quite often. And the way that we would get together was we would pick a recipe and we would cook and then we would enjoy the dinner together. So we had all this time to be making something nourishing and then sitting in each other's company, super nourishing. Our schedules are just wild and crazy.
Different.
So it's not working out the way that it used to, but we made some time this week to get together, share a meal, share conversation, share heart, and it was delightful. There's something about being around people where your nervous system just knows
safety,
that it is safe. It's safe to share. You're supported. It doesn't mean that you agree on every single thing, but it's just like you just don't have to worry about judgment or anyway. So it was lovely in that way. But what was also lovely is that she started rattling off these things that she had heard from our podcast.
Wow.
And it led me, I was like, oh my God, you're listening? And she's like, yeah, girl, I'm listening. And she's like, and she brought receipts. She was like, well, I have this to say about that and this to say about this. And the one thing that I loved, I hope it's okay that I share. I asked her, I was like, yeah, I'm going to share this. She was talking about when you were speaking about spirituality as not being tied to a person or tied to a place, like an institution. And she's, was talking about how it just moved her because she feels so spiritual when she was in the Sequoia National Forest. And like how she's like, there's not like words, there's not real good language, but it's just like, anyway, so I just want to share that I was like, okay,
that's beautiful.
People are listening, and even if we don't, like, right, I just loved it because I wasn't expecting the conversation, and just want to give a shout out that something that you had said had really, made her think and made her feel and made her want to have some words around it. So
that's the sauce. Thanks, Hadley.
Yeah. So that was my pleasure.
What a great pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me think. My peeve today. I think I'm going to go back to criminal and addictive thinking habits. So when I started my career, I worked predominantly in rehabs. I also worked in jails, and I taught a lot of like Department of Corrections type of, clients or facilities. And so criminal and addictive thinking, I would actually, when I was teaching it, I would just say human thinking, right? Because I felt like that was very labeling and stigmatizing. And, right, basically the two that are coming up for me, right, are lying by commission and lying by omission, right? So commission is when we make something up, right? We create it. Omission, though, is when we just leave something out. We just don't communicate it, right? And so I'm somebody that I'm very information seeking, right? Very. That's part of, our friendship is we both have this desire to learn more, have these big conversations, right? And so when somebody is lying by omission, right, that is very much energetically felt to me. And it creates a little bit of confusion, right? Where I'm really chewing around on like what's happening, what's going on, right? And that takes me back a little bit to like childhood wounds in some ways. So I think that is part of why it's a little bit of an irritant for me, right? Since we're talking about core beliefs today, that one just really popped up as you were sharing yours. And I think, part of this is kind of like what you said, like we're seeing this in the macro kind of like political and social sphere, right? And we're also seeing this at micro or community and personal levels, right? And so I think, many of the conversations I had yesterday in session were really about kind of the state of the world right now and people's thoughts and fears about that, right? And I think when we have so many divided sources of information, it leaves people very confused of what's real and what's not, right? And I think it comes back to that like information seeking of like, well, what's actually happening, right? And so I don't know, that's my peeve today.
I get it. I just want to say to that, I think that is a predicament. I mean, right now with like the dichotomy of it all, and it's what feels true to me, right? Everybody has their own interpretation maybe, but also we can say that till we're blue in the face, right? And sometimes we need the receipts. Sometimes it's important that we're going to find like why would this statement be true or not true, right? And so instead of like assuming that about everything, it's like, how about we be curious about it to bring it, like, I agree. Like if we're having questions about something, then I think that's great. Then we're looking for answers. Like, wait, that doesn't sound,
that doesn't align.
That something is making me think, that sounds true or untrue. There's something sticky about it, or I'm unsure about something. And so we go until we find trusted resources.
Yes.
Right. For clearer answers.
Absolutely.
Because there are not everything is going to be that way, but we should have like the validation of resource and experience and education and science and spirit, all of it, right? There's enough information that we should be able to not
find what we need without going too far.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I hear very often is like, I'm information seeking and I don't want to get too immersed in this, right? Like I don't want to get almost spun out in all this different forms of information.
Right.
So I do think it's balance.
Yeah. Always a balance.
Right?
So really even with that breath this morning, it's like, I think, I was thinking about that on my walk too. It's like, when we have these extremes on one end of energy on one end or the other, there's more, to me, there's more solid truth towards the middle, because let me just say my reason behind that. Because when we're closer to the middle, we can see both sides.
Yes.
But when we're pulled to the extreme of either side, we only see.
Yeah, it's really hard for us to relate with another person.
Right. So when we move towards balance towards something central,
Yeah.
then we have the perspective of both sides.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
okay.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it's about that, like, listening to understand versus like listening to respond kind of energy, right? Of like finding that balance in between.
I love that, actually, that you said that, because you said listening to understand versus listening to respond. So what we hear a lot of the time is listening to respond versus react.
Yeah.
And I love that you said listen to understand.
Yeah.
That's true communication. That's true listening.
Yeah. That's presence,
yes.
right?
Yeah. Like maybe I have heard that before, but that just really landed really well in my system.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm just going to repeat it one more time. So that we're listening to understand, not listening to respond.
Yes. Right.
Okay. So it's even beyond react. Like, yes, we don't want to react.
Right. But we want to actually be present in what the person is saying versus kind of thinking about what our next statement is going to be, or, how we're going to trump that statement or not, how we're going to level up that statement. It should be more about, I'm listening to understand your perspective, and here's my perspective. Right. And we can agree to disagree, right?
Absolutely. And I think when I've used it as listen to respond versus react, I am thinking of like
same thing.
Yeah, the same thing, but I like the language around understand better. So thank you.
You're welcome. You know how we get hung up on words.
And it's important.
Words are so important.
I wrote about that this week. Words are so important.
They really are.
But not just the words, the way we say them.
Tone, inflection, voice, everything is really important. On the nervous system, how we receive that, man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you feel complete in the peeve?
Yes.
Are you ready for the
my peeve? Okay. My pleasure. Okay. So my pleasure, I think this month or week is I'm going to go with like reminding myself to carry the light even in the darkest times, right? So in those sessions that I've kind of had this week, we floated back to actually the Harry Potter Dumbledore quote, right? Of like carrying the light even in the darkest times. I can't remember it verbatim. Please, Harry Potter fans, don't come for me.
Somebody type it in. Yeah, somebody let us know.
One of my friends used to have it as their little signature on their email, but I can't clock it completely. But really, it's just about carrying that light even in times of despair. Right. And so this week I'm reminded of like how sacred it is to sit in spaces of darkness. So one of the things that we talked about in my training last weekend was like the sacredness of sitting in someone's trauma with them. Right. And I know this, and I've been doing this work for a long time, right? Working with people with trauma. In a clinical setting. And it was such a palpable reminder of how beautifully sacred working with somebody to work through their trauma is, right? And like what a light carrier that takes to sit in the depths of darkness, right? And so I think that applies to all of us, not just clinicians. I'm not saying that at all, right? Like we have the choice to either carry the light or not, right? And so it is my pleasure to sit in the darkness with many people and hold the light.
Oh, girl, I love that so much. I love it. I love what you said. So, I love remembering.
Yeah.
And I love this remembering because we are human,
yes.
First and foremost. As we say on here a lot, we're not searching for perfection. We're searching for, we just want to be the best version of ourselves as we can be. But the remembering, because when you are in spaces that are heavy more than they're not.
Yeah.
I could see how
you get desensitized a little.
You get desensitized.
Right.
And so this reminder that, this is so important. And this is, I am a light in this.
This is cherished
time. Not that you don't.
yes.
Everybody who knows you knows that you do hold it in that way. And it's just that we have to remind ourselves sometimes.
Yeah, I think for me, it was, again, a good remembering of like how heavy the spaces that I sit in are, right? A little bit of a validation of like when I am drained at the end of the week,
Yes.
that is completely appropriate, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
just a reminder of like how beautiful those safe containers are, whether that be in a clinical space, a yogic space, or a friendship space, a community space, right? That when we sit in darkness together and hold the light, like how cherished that is. So that's my pleasure, man.
Whew, that's a good one. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna get I did take some notes because I want to try to keep us on schedule. So this was just like I made a quick note after last episode, and where I spoke a little bit about running, right? Running from myself versus, and in that running, when I was running, like I wasn't necessarily aware of it at the time, right?
Yes.
Like that I was running away from a wound, right? That I was running away from the wound. But then what I recognized eventually was that I was trying to create this space to control, right? Like to control the narrative around it. And so it was still ruling my life. Okay.
Yes.
So I talked a little bit about that. And then I was like, oh, once I recognized that I needed to soften into that and to acknowledge the wound, right? Acknowledge, it wasn't that I was, that it wasn't uncomfortable. I don't want to act like it wasn't anything like that, right? Because it was. But I wanted to kind of expand on that a little bit because I mentioned the running and then the softening. I think I use language around acceptance and receiving. And so I wanted to just say that, like, when we talk about that energy of softening, receiving, surrendering, acceptance, it's not in a way to say that we accept cruelty or the pain, or we accept harm that happened. We don't accept that is okay.
Yes.
We're accepting that this is part of who we are.
Yeah. That it's part of our lived experience.
That's part of our lived experience. So I just wanted to clarify. I don't plan to do that on every single thing, but I just feel like when there's more clarity that could be had, or language or education or understanding, I want to like hit on that.
I think it's a really good point and something really important to clarify, because I think in the treatment setting, it's something I hear people struggle so much with, right? How do I accept or surrender this, right? This was horrid. And it's like, well, we're not saying you have to accept that this was cool.
Right.
Yeah. This is more about accepting that this is a part of your story, and it is framed some of those core beliefs that we have about the world, right?
So I just wanted to like language that a little bit around that, but then it made me start thinking about the running and the controlling. So this is energy. Okay, we're talking about energy a little bit. We're going to segue into masculine and feminine energy. Okay, and so when I say that, I want to be very, very clear that when I'm saying I'm talking about energies, I'm not talking about male and female.
Not like gender.
Not like gender. Okay, so we are all made up of this energy that is in yogic philosophy labeled masculine or feminine. And so the energy of running and control, escaping, this is sympathetic. This is more masculine energy, the doing energy, action. And so what happens is if we tend to spend more time in the action, then this can lead to burnout.
Yes.
This can lead to collapse. This can lead to fatigue. This is not sustainable. It's not sustainable to live only in the masculine energy.
Nope.
Surrender, softening, receiving, these are labeled as feminine energy. This is what we know as feminine energy. And when we lean into softness and acceptance, this more feminine, this does have a more expansive quality to it. However, same is true for, we can't live in that all the time. We need both. We need to work our way back towards, I love that I did the balanced breathing because I wasn't exactly sure how this was all coming together.
Yeah.
But we need to,
You knew.
we need both. And so I don't know. I just felt like that kind of tied into.
Well, I think it's like it also ties into today, like the balance of that dichotomy. It's like
Yes.
we need to lean into both like action and integration. You know, both of those energies have to be there for us to be at an equilibrium.
Yes. And so what I teach in class, in training in class, you'll hear me say it quite often. I'll say opposing lines of energy. So we want to notice, like when we started our breath work this morning, it was like, notice your seat against the mat, or your sitting bones against the mat. Notice your heart in space. So our sitting bones are kind of grounding and our heart is lifting up. Opposing lines of energy are going to bring us into balance. And so it's that way, if we can take that kind of philosophy really into all the things that we do.
Absolutely.
Right. This is how we can work towards harmony, balance. In nervous system, in neuroscience language, they call it regulating. I don't love that language because it feels a little like control, but that's the language we have for it. So I love in the training I'm talking about, she uses harmonizing. Yes. I like that. Balancing. And again, this isn't about perfection. How this works is that we have to check in. We have to kind of know what are we leaning in, what is firing up right now, and is it serving us in this way? And do I need to
stop and pause?
Pause. Do I need to draw back? Do I need to lean into softening in this moment? Is that going to bring me back into balance, or do I need to lean into my fire and do something to get me out of? To get me out of maybe I'm just ruminating and I'm dropping down in my energy and I'm lethargic, and I need to move, right? Sympathetic energy, masculine energy. Does that make sense?
Yes, okay. Absolutely. Yeah. I also like, as you explain that, if anyone who's listening, if you're watching, right, Julie's body literally rocked forward and back as she said that. And to me, that kind of reminded me of like that body pendulum exercise, right? Where we kind of ask ourselves internally, like, what is the choice? And I think what this comes down to is we have to have a space for self-reflection and inquiry, right? Like, we can't just keep running to the next thing. There has to be a little bit of stop and pause and look inside to see, what does it actually need?
Yes.
Right? Do I need action or do I need softening?
Yeah. Do I need action or do I need rest? Do I need to run or do I need to stop?
Yeah.
Do I need to walk? Do I need to sit down? Like, I don't want you to think that I live constantly analyzing every move of my day. Nobody does, which I'm going to get to that in just a second. And yet, this has become a lived experience for me. This is how I show up. I don't get it right every time, but I am curious more than I'm not about what is this moment calling for?
What's the information my body is giving me? What does my mind say? What is spirit communicating?
What is the atmosphere?
Yes.
What is the environment? And so again, I'll like flop back to how this too is a practice, and it is maybe more important that you practice this on days like every day, but more so to practice it when you're not in the heat of a moment. Like, we need to be practicing these things day to day, little bits here, little bits there, so that when life really pushes up against us,
it's our default.
It's our norm. Yeah. We already know, oh, this is signaling me, right?
I think that's why we call it a practice.
Yes.
Right? It's like, I think I've shared this in groups before. I don't know that I've shared it on the podcast, but the first time that my husband and I had a disagreement after I had been practicing meditation very regularly, and I went up to my cushion and sat down versus reacting, right? Even in the moment of sitting down, I was like, wow, I feel really proud of myself right now, right?
Yeah.
Like I've really stepped away, but I do think it takes that practice before it becomes default.
Yes.
Right? Before it becomes the thing when we're under stress, we're like, yeah, I need that.
Yes. Okay. Oh, well, gosh, I love this conversation so much. Let me just get my notes, make sure keeping us on track today. Okay. I feel like there's so much we could spend
an hour just on that.
Yeah, on that. I feel like that's a good, like, kind of wrapping up of that section.
Cool.
And then what I had noted down was, for the month of September, I rolled out a meditation series called September Sit. And one of the reasons why I felt really called to do that is, one, because I get questions about meditation quite a bit, but two is because I've recognized, really, it's one of those things that intellectually I understood or I knew, but it was like really felt more palpable recently, was that I do not think that our bodies and our brains were meant to handle the load of information, the constant inundation of trauma, of notifications, of constant information, of grief. It's just, we are just constantly connected to information.
Yes.
And I love information.
Same.
Okay. I love it. So it does serve a purpose. I'm not here to say that it doesn't. What I'm suggesting is that these bodies that we have, the brains that we have, we're not meant to handle that. No. Like, nobody's system was meant to handle that all of the time. And so I don't know, a couple months ago, Allison sent something. It was like a documentary, and she's always like, "Ooh, awesome!" What did I wrote it down? A directed distraction.
Yes.
Okay, and I quoted. I was like, I am looking for healthy-ish, directed, like more directed distractions to keep me not so wrapped up in all of the information that's coming in and at my body and my brain all of the time.
So what it really makes me think about, Julie, is our friend Jennifer, right? When she does her polyvagal theory discussions, right? She will pick up her cell phone in the middle of her talk and she'll say, this thing right here, it's a cheetah running after you. Your brain doesn't know the difference. And to me, that has been one of the most eye-opening kind of quotes. And, Jay Fran,
we love you.
Huge shout out.
We love you. We love your work.
I think you're right. Our brains and our bodies were not built for the level of information that we have coming at us, right? And there are a lot of distractions, but we can find more like pro-social or healthy distractions, right? Yeah. Like documentaries. Yeah. I don't know. Anything that brings me joy.
Anything. I was getting ready to say, because I had a friend yesterday. What a mentor situation. Anyway, she was just asking, "Do you watch TV?" And I'm like, "Girl, yes,
absolutely.
I do watch TV." I'm not telling you what your healthy distraction needs to be, or your distraction in general needs to be.
Yeah.
What I'm suggesting is that it's healthy that we take ourselves out and away from the inundation of information.
Yeah.
Even if that information is like quality and good information, but when we get just hyper focused in, and that happens before we we don't even recognize it. I see it in my kids too. Yeah. It's like they don't even realize how
kind of sucked in,
and so it's like we have creating these pockets of practice of pulling ourselves out. And I'm at where I am in my practice, it's like silence is what I want.
Yes,
is what I need. And so that's why I created this September Sit, is holding space for people who are also interested to just start creating this as a daily habit.
Yes.
because it feels really, really important. Like I really stand on this. Like this inundation of information is too much, and part of maybe what's wrong with what's happening in the world right now. It's like it's too much information.
I really agree. And, I think part of my bias on my agreement is, I lean towards the idea that just the current civilization we're in is traumatizing, right? Like the Western world is traumatizing. The political sphere is traumatizing, right? I just think industrialization in general, right? We're meant to be more tribal, right? And this pull away from tribalism into industrialization and now technology, it's really hard on the brain and the body, aka the nervous system.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right. I agree. And yeah, I don't have, sweeping solutions other than to just check in, right?
Yeah,
like
be
check
mindful.
in, be mindful about the level of information. And I'll just say also what that's allowed me to do, because I only have so much time in a day.
Yeah.
So what it has allowed me to do is to be more aligned in what I'm choosing.
Yeah,
right.
How you spend your time.
It has shaped. It's shaped me in a way that's led me into some things that I was ready for, but wasn't right. Maybe wasn't in the car. Like I didn't know it was going to be there.
Yes.
But so it's serving multiple purposes, right? Like it's giving our nervous system the chance to return, to find, to harmonize, to balance,
to come back to
homeostasis.
Ooh.
And what it's also doing in that time is asking me then, now you have, depending on how long I'm sitting, I have that amount of time less to do things. Yes. So what am I going to spend that time doing? Right?
Absolutely. It creates some spiritual discernment, right? Of like, this is where I choose or don't choose to allow my energy to go.
Right. Yes.
Love it.
Yes. I love it too. Okay. Is that clear for you? Does
I feel good about that.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
We just traveled right into where we were going, guys.
So the next thing I have written down is discernment, embodied action, core values. So you can show up aligned and giving in the ways that offer a reciprocal energy versus blinders or shutting down to the weight of the world.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay, so
I think that discernment can lead us into embodied action, right? Yes. Like that spiritual discernment of this is what I choose to spend my time on or not. That really leads to embodied action, right? And it does come back to our core beliefs or our core values, right? What do we at our core, right, deep inside believe about the world, ourselves, other people, right? Part of trauma, complex or not, is that it changes our core beliefs to be more negatively skewed, right? That we believe the world is unsafe or that people are unsafe, the world is scary, right? And part of my own personal, I would say spiritual recovery has been a very mindful look at what those core beliefs are and how they govern my actions out in the world, right? And it's like, if we are looking at what we truly believe at our core, right? Like the thoughts behind the thoughts about things, this is probably going to lead to embodied action if we are aligned in our value system, right? Yes. So one of the things that both of us kind of have been talking about over the last month is how, we love to learn and how important it is for us to continue that learning process in a way that feels aligned with what we're doing out in the community and the world. We don't know where this podcast goes.
Into the world. I'm going to say to the world. I haven't looked.
Let's flip our hair.
To the world.
But I think that for both of us, it's been really important that we stop and pause and we take some time to get our own training, to allow ourselves to integrate and embody many of the things that we're teaching out in the world, right? We have to give ourselves the space for that too, right? And it does come back to core values for me, is like, I want to continue to learn my whole life. I want to stay open to learning. I want to be curious, and I don't want to think that I know it all, right? Because the moment I do,
we're done.
We're done. Yeah, it's donezo, right?
There's that. Where can you go from there if you know everything?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And so I've been so excited, right? Kind of starting my own training and you starting your training and us talking about that, even the brief kind of periods we have. It's like, man, this infuses me with the other work I'm doing, right? And that's really what I find when I go to training, is like, it is a remembering, kind of what I said earlier, of like, this is why I do this work, right? This is why I choose to show up in these dark spaces and carry the light. It's like, this is the sauce.
Yeah.
These are the things that are important to me. So those core values, they come back to what's important, what's aligned for us, and they can get skewed with our experience in the world.
I think, I agree. And I think that we talked about this in maybe a couple episodes ago, but it was like, when we aren't certain, if we're not sure about what our core values are, right? This is another one where I feel like, that we can intellectualize and say, oh, core values, I know what that is. But if we haven't spent time to like get curious, to get familiar with what our values are, then we are going to be pulled left to right.
Yes.
Right. We're going to be like, we're not going to be firm. We're not going to be pulled towards our center because we're not sure. And everything is going to be
a distraction.
This could be like,
squirrel.
Yes, this and this. Oh, yeah. It's like,
I like this.
But once you kind of fine tune what those values are that are most important to you, then these decisions just become so much easier. I mean, not everything is easier, but it's like, oh, I can clearly see that this is not for me.
Yes.
And this is.
Yes.
Or this is not this is not, no, this is the direction I should go in. That one doesn't make sense for what feels most important to me.
Yeah.
So I love that. We have a worksheet? Is this a good point to say? Like, I just want to, I think people maybe, like, how do they hone in on what their core values are?
So when Julie and I started this work, we started out in a more in-person setting, right? And so we do have a worksheet that we kind of use today to talk a little bit about core beliefs. And it has a little bit more information on there about CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is kind of what this core beliefs work comes from initially. And then there's also a little bit of information on trauma and how the vagus nerve plays into all of this, right? And I know for both of us, part of the work that we love right now is like, we want to teach people how to hone in on their bodies and learn to nurture their bodies in the best ways that they can,
and to listen.
Yes.
Like, what feedback is here and available.
Yes.
Yes to that. And this sheet is available. I can send it to you, and maybe I don't know, we'll figure it out. But if you don't see it and you want it, let us know. I can send it to you. But also, I have used, like, you can just go on to, I do this with some of my clients too. It's like, you can just go and start searching for like core value words.
Yes.
Right. And so just get a bunch of words, right? And it's not it's not like all the words there are, but it gets your brain thinking like, okay, that doesn't even like
align.
Like, that doesn't even make my fingers go like this at all.
Right?
Yeah. Jessica. So it's just a way to start being curious about, okay. And then once you kind of fine tune what those words are,
you can kind of find themes based off that, right?
Yes.
And I think actually we did that in our class, right?
Sure.
And that's something I've done in classes and treatment for years
Yeah.
is like core values sheet.
Yeah.
Okay, highlight all the ones that jump out.
Yeah.
Okay, how can we condense this down? Right.
Some of them go in groups like this. These kind of have the same feel to them. So that's, so we're going to give that a word. Yeah. So there's, if you've never done that before, and even if you think that you are already
in the know
or aligned with your values, I say do it again.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while, check in and see if anything else has kind of sparked for you.
I think as we age and as we walk through this life, those things shift. You know, one of the things that I've talked about a lot with friends is like, and even with my husband yesterday, I was talking to him about, you know, tomorrow's not promised, right? The loss of my mom has impacted my like thoughts about, you know, live for today.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that made me think of Cage the Elephant. That's so funny. Yeah. That's a funny moment. Okay. But really like living for today and being present because, you know, we don't know what is promised. Right. And so my point in that is like those core values, they can shift and some can take priority over others as our ages and stages of life change.
100%. And I'll share that happened for me, and I will give 2 lived experiences because I just feel like it helps give context. So for years, integrity, and it still stays at the kind of root of all the things that I do. And it may have been my therapist at the time that was like, yeah, but that's already who you are. You know, like, so, and I get that. Like, so it is important to me. And this morning I had a big conversation with Miles about, he's this amazing kid. He's a great kid. He's like got the biggest, kindest heart. Like we're not perfect human beings, but he's like, if there's something you're going to say about him, it is that he is kind. And so I led with that, right? I led with it. I was like, you are an amazing human being. You're so kind. That is going to take you so far. I said, and responsibility is important. And I said, integrity is one of my words that it's always like I'm filtering through integrity. And so I said, when you tell me that you're going to take out the trash and when you tell me that you're going to pick up your clothes and you don't do it, right? You can get away with that maybe one time, but when it's happening over and over, then it's like,
it's a pattern.
It's a pattern, and we've got to step up and do something, right? Like we've got to put it into action. It doesn't take away from the fact that you're an amazing human being, right? We have to lean into these other things, the embodiment of these things, right?
Well, and I think that also goes back to like that, what you brought up as your peeve is like we're judging ourselves on just one thing, right? It's like that could be a way we could look at it more through like a positive filter. It's like your son is this kind of amazing person, right? And we have to look at these other things too, guys.
That make us, us a full human, right? A full embodied action human. Like there's things that we're gonna have to do. So integrity is this one. I'm getting there, I promise. So I'm getting there.
I know there's a method to madness.
So integrity isn't changing. It is there. It's very important to me that my words and my actions and the work that I do, that there's a through line, right? Like that there's a through line. But when I started revisiting core values, social justice it was like at the forefront. And I didn't quite know what to do with that, right? Like I think there was an awareness around it for me that this is important, that justice is important. But it was presenting in a way that like I could not look at it, right? And so I am now using that, like leading with that, making sure that is being filtered into what I'm doing. And so my training currently is a certification with Susanna Bartaki. I think I'm saying that wrong at this point, but Barkataki. And she is leading a training that is trauma-informed yoga and social justice, the intersection of that. It's a certification. So far, it's been amazing. I do feel like it is this remembering. So when I sign up for a training, like I had to fill that out. Like, what brought you here? And like, one of the things is, it's like, I feel this aliveness to this information. I need some organization around it. I need somebody to hold it,
like
and
to contain
it, give me better language, maybe better resources. And so far so good.
Cool.
And I love it. But it also, this, when I recognized that social justice was something that wasn't, I wasn't maybe meeting that where I wanted it to be, is like when I also started shifting and volunteering for New Beginnings.
Yeah.
It's like, how
you did a lot of self-inquiry
I did.
and action,
and wanted that to be like, this is what I have this time on this earth. How am I going to put it that? How is this going to be integrated? And how can I be in integrity with what is important to me and let it have a through line? So I'm not saying that these are the things that anybody else needs to do. I'm just putting it into perspective of like, how does this become alive for me in my life?
Yeah. I giggled when you said about your training. It was trauma-informed care and social justice. And I started giggling because that is exactly what my training is too. Right? Okay. So I will give a slight plug for my trainers as well. I'm training at the Center for Trauma and Embodiment, which was born out of the Center for Justice Resource Institute, right? And so that's out of Boston. And again, it's part of why we do this work, is like the justice is at the forefront for both of us, right? And that's really been one of the things that we've connected over in the last few years, is how much justice lives in our body and what do we do with that, right? And part of that is the embodied action of continuing education, finding new words, finding new resources, so that we can continue to offer those things to our community in a way that feels really in alignment with that value.
And new perspectives, right? Like, it's so important to me that I'm with you. Like, I just never want to stop learning. I want information to be grounded and expansive, and like different voices. And that's just, I think that's diversity is something that makes things so wonderful.
I think anytime we're practicing in a silo, no matter what our field of practice is, like, that scares me, right? And the more voices and information that we have that is maybe different from our own perspective, like, the more open and curious we can show up, right? And it's like, honestly, anybody therapeutically that practices it kind of in isolation or in a silo, that scares me. And the same would be true for a yogi or just any other profession. It's like, we have to have that connection and that communication of these values to continue to embody them in ways that feel really good to us.
I love that. Well, I don't know. I feel
complete.
I feel pretty complete. I'll check my sheet, but I think I touched on the things that I wanted to, and of course we ran with it and touched on other things. Okay, I don't know.
I think the thing I want to just highlight before we kind of conclude is that the resources we really talked about today was really a lot about self-inquiry, right? And like listening to that internal God within our body, right? To discern and then take action. So, maybe the resource isn't like as tangible, maybe as we've given in other sessions, right? Like,
I think it is. I mean, we gave a breath practice. We've got a worksheet.
We're tangible.
And I think it's kind of full circle from which, I wasn't sure it was going to make it there, but I feel like it did when we were talking about masculine, feminine energy, and how what we're saying is like the self-inquiry is maybe the slowing down and the softening, the spaciousness to be curious. And then taking what we learn, letting it move through us and move us. So then there's that masculine energy of doing.
Embodied action.
There you have your embodied expression. Look at us go.
How about it?
How about it? Okay.
Beautiful.
Well, I appreciate, as always, your time and energy. If you're listening or watching. We are always open to feedback or suggestions or questions. If we say something that's not clear, or certainly if we say something incorrect or something that
tell us. We are open.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. So that we can continue to be like our own growing, right?
Yeah, continue to be curious about what this experience is for us and for you
all. Yes, and for you. So, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. Let's just want to end with a breath.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I think you should lead us with your class breath that you like to do.
Oh, okay. So we'll bring our hands to heart center. We'll gently press left hand, right hand. Gather a breath all the way in. And as we exhale, the invitation is always to bow the head towards the heart. Right? Catch a breath of gratitude, right? Anything at all that's coming up for you. And then we'll seal it all in. Last breath together. Inhale to exhale. It's such a pleasure to share space. Thank you.
Thank you.